Welcome back, everybody, to 3 Point Lines here on the Parlay. I'm your host, Luca Rosano, alongside my co host, Noor Zainab. And we are back on this Wednesday with a full slate of NBA games. See if we could do better than last night. I didn't do too bad, 4-7 overall. My percentage, though, did not change. I'm still stuck at 52% as Noor went up a percentage. So she is now 2% ahead of me.
A whole 2%. I had a pretty good night actually. I went to bed smiling. I was looking at my score app and I'm like, this is what it's all about, you know? I think I got two wrong. So I had the Wizards to cover the massive spread that the Bucks had. They didn't, but that's okay. That's fine. And then I had the Detroit Pistons to beat the Pelicans. That didn't happen.
Yeah.
But everything else, it was a good night. I'm very happy with my results actually.
Yeah, you did better than me, that's for sure. We'll see if you can
One point.
replicate that performance. Let's dive right into it. First game of the night, we got the Magic taking on the Pacers, and the Pacers are 3.5 point favorites.
Yeah, Magic lost to the Bulls last night, so they'll be on a back-to-back here. And sometimes, I kind of like the chances of a team going back-to-back, whether that be a revenge game for them, for a player to just who had a bad night the night before to really bounce back than that the other night, or for a team itself to come together. Or I sometimes feel like if you're playing a competitive game one night and you go to play the same one the next night, wouldn't your rhythm already be intact? Like, aren't you already running off that adrenaline and you feel like you're still in that moment to be playing that basketball game? So for some reason, I like this spot for the Magic just based off that. I feel like Suggs didn't really play too well last night. I can see him bouncing back a bit tonight. And I feel like if they're supposed to cover over anyone, it should be the Pacers. Like, this is not an elite team. This is just the Indiana Pacers. So I find this a very odd space for the Magic, and especially with the Pacers who've had the rest, who've had been able to stay back and just recuperate. But I think this could be a trap game for them and for the Magic to bounce back. What about you?
Wow. Okay. So yeah, you're going with the Magic here. I'm gonna go with the Pacers just because Magic are playing on the second night of a back-to-back, and the Pacers did have the night off, and they did come off a win at home against the Clippers. I know they got a bunch of guys out. We talk about guys like Sabonis missing some time, Miles Turner obviously not there, Malcolm Brogdon, but I still think there's enough there for the Pacers to win this game and cover by 4. I mean, Levert's coming off a nice game. Even a guy like Isaiah Jackson, he was dominant inside, obviously replacing Miles Turner. Yeah, I think the Pacers are going to find a way to get this one done. I'm just not sold on any facet of the Magic's game. I think that's just a bad basketball team. They give up a ton of points, and they're looking for losses. They want to get the number one overall pick in the draft, whereas the Pacers, this is a team that, yeah, they're not looking good. A ton of guys are out, but they have shown up, more times than not, at least putting out some type of an effort. So I think this will be a high scoring game, but I can see the Pacers pulling through with like a 6 point victory, 8 point victory. So give me Indiana here.
Wow, look at that right off the bat. We got a disagreement. Don't think that's happened so far
No,
since our
never.
episodes have started, eh? Wow. First time for everything, listeners. Look at that. Anyway, the next game for the night is going to be the Washington Wizards and the Philadelphia 76ers, where the Sixers are favored by -10.5. Quite a big spread. Do you like that?
Yeah, I'm not going to make the same mistake I did yesterday of taking the points. I'm going to go with Philadelphia here. The Wizards just got a ton of problems right now. This is a team that's probably going to make some moves at the deadline. A lot of names are coming up like Dinwiddie, Bradley Beal. I do not like where this team is headed. They started off fast. They obviously had that great start to their season, but they have fallen off since. Philadelphia, it's going to be interesting to see if they make a move at the deadline to upgrade this roster, but they are the much better team here. I look for Embiid to have a massive game, and Philadelphia is a good home team. They're coming off that thriller of a win against Memphis the other night that went down to the wire. I think Philadelphia is going to have an easier time here, so I'm going to lay the double-digit spread. I think Philly's going to be all over this matchup.
Yeah, you know what? I agree with you. And I usually don't like these big spreads, but it's just not against a team like the Wizards. One team here is on a 6-game losing streak while on a back-to-back. And one's going to be hopefully getting their sixth straight win. So it already tells you who's going to have the upper hand here. And the Wizards they didn't really play. They did have a good game against the Bucks where they were able to make it close until the fourth quarter, where Giannis just became Giannis, and at that point the game was out of their reach, right? And tonight they might be without Thomas Bryant, who, if they don't have him, who's going to go up against Embiid? Who's going to go up against Drummond and Tobias Harris? So you barely have anyone there that's going to be a massive Embiid stopper or just make his life difficult. And Philly is just a better team. They've been quietly moving up in the standings. Embiid has inserted himself into MVP conversations. And this is just the game that they should be able to win outright and win that spread because they are that team. And Washington, like you mentioned, the Wizards are just they started out pretty strong, but they're at a point now where it's just not working out for them. They're not able to stay healthy. There's a lot of trade rumors happening, and they're just they need to figure themselves out because they've been in the same position the past couple of years. And yeah, I don't like big spreads, but this is where I think they can really take it because I just don't see anyone stopping Embiid on that team.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, we're both going with the big spread. Hopefully that results in a good night for both of us and we can win that
Please.
bet. Next game, we got the Hornets taking on the Celtics. Good matchup here. The Celtics 5.5 point favorites.
Who would have thought that, eh? The Hornets are a good matchup for someone.
Yeah.
Oubre should be back for this one, while Hayward probably remains out. And while I want to pick the Hornets, I think Boston is just becoming on its own now. Like they've figured out whatever was holding them back from being the team that they always have been, whether that be injuries, some chemistry issues, whatever it is. But they just have been playing like Celtics basketball all over again. And unfortunately, that means that they're going to be winning. And they're healthy, and them being healthy means that everyone's on the court. And by that, you mean you have Jason Tatum, Jalen Brown, and Marcus Smart. And I'm honestly a Marcus Smart truther. I have a love-hate relationship with him. If he's playing the Raptors, screw him. If he's playing anybody else, I love him. I think he's one of those players like the Draymond Greens, the Kyle Lowrys, the PJ Tuckers, who you just don't really see their impact on the game. But this is someone who makes winning plays, who makes sure that they put their team before themselves. So they make sure that they're hustling for the ball, they're making the right plays, the right steals, the right passes, and just putting their body on the line. So having that team put together, while I do like this Hornets team because I love Melo, I love all the pieces that they have together, I just think Celtics are now coming into their own, and it's going to be hard to stop that. What about you?
Yeah, this one's a really tough one. I can see why the Celtics are favored. They have been playing really good lately. The Hornets are coming in, also overall playing good as well. Yeah, it's toughest game of the night, I think. I'm gonna take the points though. I remember a similar instance where the Hornets went on the road and won this game outright. I can see this one being close, a track meet, if you will. Both these teams like to score a ton of points, and for as well as the Celtics have been playing, I think the Hornets will have some responses. I think LaMelo Ball is going to have a big night tonight. Rozier, those guys are going to get it going. And yeah, this is probably going to be the funnest matchup of the night. And I don't know what it is. I just can't trust the Celtics. And I especially can't lay points with them. Last time I did take the Heat and they did blow them out. So I will go back to betting against the Celtics. Hopefully this time it works.
I know I feel disgusting betting on them, but I feel like I need to make up for all my losses, you know? Anyway, the other game of the night is now going to be the Memphis Grizzlies versus the New York Knicks, where the Grizzlies are favored by -3.5.
Yeah, I'm going with a team that hasn't let me down to date, and that is the Memphis Grizzlies. This is a team that
Yeah.
continues to get it done. I know they didn't pull it off against the Sixers the other night, but that came down to the wire, went to overtime. What a game that was. But I think they can lay 3.5 here. I expect them to win this game. The Knicks have a ton of problems now. Reportedly, Randall's unhappy there, and New York's fading out of the play-in playoff picture, and Memphis is going the other way. They've been doing a good job of winning these games despite not having Bane there, who's quickly becoming a very important piece for them. John Morant's playing like a superstar. He's going to be starting the All-Star game in a couple weeks from now. So I really like where this Grizzlies team is right now, where they're headed. The New York Knicks are hit or miss. This is going to be at MSG. This is going to be on ESPN, I believe. So bright lights has never scared John Morant and company. I think they're going to get it done.
It's definitely scared Randall though. So let's see what happens with him tonight. And you're absolutely right. I think any Grizzlies game is easy money. If you want to make some money that night, bet on the Grizzlies and John Moran. Because when's the last time they lost? It doesn't feel like they lose. It's always against really, really good team, even if they do get those losses. Like they've won, I believe, 16 of their last 20, and those four were against some really those four losses were against some really, really good teams. And they're also 14 of 4 against the spread in their last 18 road games. I got some math for you too.
Yeah, you
Whereas
can't
the
forget the
Knicks,
stats.
yeah, hold on, I got some more. Whereas the Knicks have lost 6 of their last 8, and they're 1 of 7 against the spread in their last 8 home games against a good road team. I don't know. I'm not a mathematician. I don't know how math works, but those numbers sound pretty good to me. And we already mentioned it. We can't stop mentioning it. Knicks are just not that reliable team. I take them to win, to lose, and every single time it's the opposite. It's just, we've talked about this before too, where it's almost just like this is not, it's almost like a Lakers level basketball where you're not going to be seeing team basketball. It's very much who wants to have a show tonight, who wants to go and have some shots. And you can only do that for the Lakers. Barely that actually, because the Lakers are barely making the playoffs. So the Knicks are just not in a good spot. And going up against John Morant, going up against the Memphis Grizzlies, I think they're gonna get embarrassed. So
Wow.
give me the Grizzlies.
Well, Noor definitely came prepared tonight with some stats to back up her picks. Okay, next game here we got Cavaliers Rockets. The Cavs 5-point favorites on the road.
Yeah, this also is one of those ones where I feel like you can make some easy money if you'd like to. Houston is just not a team that you take to win against no matter who it is, especially against the Cavs. They've always been good. Good team. It's always been a good team to bet against just to make you some money. They've dropped 4 in a row and they don't even play well at home. I think they're like 7 of 16 at home or something. And they play home tonight. So you can probably look at that being 7 of 17. And Cleveland is just they're playing their third game in 4 nights, and I think a lot of teams are in the same boat where they're playing very few amount of games in a very limited amount of days. But it's almost making them better. Where yeah, you're having to plug in and plug out, but I think it also creates chemistry a lot more too. And we've seen that with the Cavs, where this is just a very good team that's only going to get better in the Eastern Conference. They've been making waves since the beginning. They haven't slowed down. They haven't slowed down at all. Even next to the Bulls, I think we were all kind of just waiting for these two teams to come back down to earth. And now you're hitting All-Star and they're above Celtics, above the Raptors. Like they're really making their strides. So yeah, I think this is just a team where you can probably make easy money in this matchup. So give me the Cleveland Cavaliers. Hopefully.
Yeah, I mean,
I
these
don't
picks
think so.
seem logical, but sometimes you got to just be logical with NBA bets, especially nowadays. Yeah, I like Cleveland too. I can see them being a close game. Maybe Houston can play that spoiler here. They have been okay at home, coming off, some good outings in the past against teams like the Warriors. But overall, this Cavs team, they have proven that they're legitimate. I mean, I like this matchup for them inside. Like, who's going to stop Jared Allen and Evan Mobley? You can only try. You're not going to go fare well against the Cavs, who are one of the best teams in scoring inside the paint. They
Yeah.
obviously got Garland, who's playing like an all-star. Expect him to get going in this one. Houston could make this one interesting in the first 3 quarters, but I do expect Cleveland to pull away late. This is too good of a basketball team to lose these types of games. And yeah, we got to start taking this Cavs team seriously. They're going to be a team that will be in the playoffs and they could maybe make some noise. And who knows if they'll be aggressive at the deadline to try to upgrade this very good young roster. But I think they got a good blend of veteran players like Kevin Love, who has emerged to the scene, Osman too, big X factor from off the bench. And then you talk about the young talent. And this is all with O'Call and Sexton, too, which is
Yeah.
amazing. He still has to come back. I don't know if he's going to come back this season, but he's still a good young piece the Cavaliers have. So, yeah, everything's looking good for the Cavs right now. Give me the Cavaliers in the spot.
Yeah, it'll be really fun to see where this team goes. And I almost feel like they almost play this old school style of basketball, where you rely quite a bit more on your paint as opposed to your threes, where and they're winning. Like this is the era of threes, but they're still able to do what they gotta do in the paint, which is so nice to see.
Yeah.
Um Anyway, now on the Western Conference side of things, we're gonna be seeing the Oklahoma City Thunder versus the Dallas Mavericks, where the Mavericks are favored by -12. Is that too much for you?
Yeah, this is a weird spread. You look at the Mavericks, they blow out the Pacers, and then I think they lost to the Magic the other night. So like it's
Mhm.
weird. You never know which version of this team you're gonna get. They are gonna be at home though. OKC hasn't been playing well. I'm not sure if Shea's gonna be able to go for this one, but yeah, I'm gonna go with Dallas here. It's a big spread, but I think they're gonna blow out the Thunder. Dallas is a different team at home. I don't know what it is. Like this is
Yeah.
an inconsistent team, and usually when they come off a very bad suspect loss, like they did against the Magic, they'll bounce back here. So yeah, I know your look gave it away. I never take this many points, but I don't know. I'm changing on my strategy. I'm laying points because it's like when I take these underdogs, I've taken them the last couple of days, I've gotten killed. But I think Dallas will be able to get their offense going here. I expect Luca to have a big game. I expect KP to also have a big game and some of those role players to step in, hit the three like a Tim Hardaway Jr. And I just don't know what OKC can do in this game offensively. I mean, this is a team that's been a nightmare to watch, especially over the last couple of weeks. And this is not a team that you can trust with your money. So I'm gonna go with the Mavericks here. I'm gonna lay the 12.
Wow, that's I don't know how to feel about that. Because honestly, I sat there for a sec too. I was like, do I want to take the Mavericks? Because it does look pretty good, eh?
A lot of points.
But I actually think I'm gonna go the OKC route. I think I read somewhere Porzingis might not be playing for this one. And they also will be without Sterling Brown and Tim Hardaway Jr., which like it shouldn't be massive against an OKC team, which probably also we will be missing Shea. But for some reason, I feel like like I think Mavericks will win. They should not have a problem. Luca, if anything, without Porzingis, almost just goes off. Like he almost plays a lot better. He's able to get more shots off, and you would think that he'd be doubled and tripled without having that kind of presence on the floor. But somehow he's hitting floaters and threes on top of three different guys. So you can never count Luca out in any way. But OKC, they're a team that, yeah, they've lost. They lose everything. Like they're the worst team in the league right now, right? But like they also keep it close, like weirdly close. And the only embarrassing loss I can remember for them was against the Grizzlies when it was just, probably the most embarrassing that they really need for the entire year. But besides that, they've always been able to keep it at a comfortable margin where if they want to bounce back or they have the ability to bounce back, they would be able to. And just this Dallas team that I love the Dallas Mavericks. I love Luca. I don't know about Porzingis, but we'll see how I feel about that a little bit later on. But like I love that team. But I think that just they've hit a stride now where they're kind of inconsistent. And they lost to the Magic, and that loss to the Magic hurt me. I had them winning, and it came out of nowhere. So for some reason, I kind of feel like OKC can do some damage here. They can cover the spread a bit. I still think Dallas makes it a game for themselves, but lay the points.
All right. Yeah, you know what? The Mavericks, they haven't really convinced anybody. They're a weird team.
Yeah,
They go on a run and then they lose to the teams they shouldn't. Like they lost to the Magic the other night. So you never know what you're gonna get with them. I just have a feeling they'll bounce back at home following that embarrassing loss. So we'll see
I
what
hope for
happens.
you.
All right, Nets, Kings. Speaking of teams that need a win right now, the Nets. Are they gonna get it done here on the road?
They should. They must. It's the Kings. They gotta. Suns won for me last night, but the Nets gotta do it for me tonight. After losing to the Suns last night, they will be on a back-to-back, but that shouldn't be a problem against the Kings. It's the Kings, and you're the Nets. You still have Harden, you still have Kyrie, you still have I'm not sure if Aldridge is back yet, but I think you still have Blake Griffin. And Blake Griffin had a decent night for his current trajectory last night, right? Like he had what 17 points. And for
Yeah.
the Blake Griffin of 2022, that's pretty good. It's over 10 points. It's fantastic. But they still couldn't make it close with the Suns, which is understandable. It's the Suns who have been dominating teams all throughout the month. And they're completely top of the conference. But against this Kings team, this is exactly where the Nets need to shine. This is where they need to add that win in their win column. This is kind of those W's that you start to rack up as the season goes by because now you need it. They're kind of struggling in the mid tier of the playoffs for the Eastern Conference. And this is a time to think about matchups and think about how you're going to fare well in the playoffs. So any team you're going up against, especially an easy team like the Kings, that should be something that you win. Like you've got to win that. And Kings are just not a good team. They are not working out. They lack chemistry. They lack leadership. And I'm pretty sure there should be some moves made just to figure out what the team's direction is going to be in the next couple of years. And
Yeah.
the Nets are not playing like themselves, but this is a game that should give them confidence. So give
Yeah.
me the Nets.
Yeah, it's crazy how much they've fallen back. 3-7 their last 10. They've lost 5 in a row. Or as of right
Yeah.
now, it's crazy. But the Raptors are only 2.5 games back of the Nets in the standings. The Nets are in jeopardy of falling into the play-in. They're sixth right now, and the Hornets only a game and a half back. So yeah, they definitely need KD back. But this has got to be a game for them where they get it right. They need to come up with a nice, sound performance against a Kings team that they should be able to handle, even though it's a second night of a back-to-back. They clearly have so much more talent. Kyrie, Harden, Patty Mills coming off a big game. This is a game the Nets need to take advantage of and win. And if they don't, questions are going to continue to come towards this team. If they drop this game, there's going to be a lot of negative attention surrounding the Nets, which there is right now. They did play well last night. They actually made that a game in the fourth quarter until the Suns pulled away. So I think
Yeah.
the Nets just have too much firepower in this one to be able to lose to the Kings. So I do expect a big night from James Harden tonight, who was complaining about getting called too much for fouls. He's like, I can't even touch guys anymore. It's like that's what you made your career out of. So I don't know if he's one to talk there, but I do like the Nets tonight to cover the number.
The pot calling the kettle black. Come on, James Harden. Come on. Whenever he takes the three, I'm like, he's about to drop kick someone in the face, and you're talking about free throws. Come on, James Harden. Anyway, let's stick to the Western Conference. We're going to be looking at the Denver Nuggets versus the Utah Jazz. Interesting matchup where the Jazz are favored by -3.
Yeah, this is an interesting matchup. The Nuggets are coming off a bad beat, but the Jazz haven't played well. They're missing
Mhm.
their stars right now, and they're hurting. They've lost 5 in a row, 2-8 in their last 10. And this is a spot where I'm not even sure why they're favored. I can see them keep this game close, but I do like Denver to bounce back. I think Jokic is going to have a much better outing here, and I just can't trust this Jazz team right now. They do not look the same like they did a year ago. This is a team that's got a ton of problems, and I've always said the Jazz were pretenders, and they're showing their true colors now. And yeah, it's not fun to be a Jazz fan. I know they are at home where they are 15-10, but I can't bet on them right now. They're just struggling too much. I got to go with Denver to bounce back. So give me Nikola Jokic to have an MVP like night.
Yeah, I wonder if that spread is a reflection of last night's Denver's game, like against the Wolves, and maybe that's why they lost. But like, if that was the return of Jokic and he scored about 21 points, he should be going off tonight. So
Yeah.
this should be. I'm not sure what Vegas is thinking, but maybe they just want us to have extra money tonight. I'll take it. But yeah, Utah is also, like you mentioned, they'll be without Gobert, and they currently Whiteside is listed as day to day, but he didn't practice today. So I'm assuming that's a bad sign. Probably means he's not going to be playing tonight. And if that's the case, who's gonna stop Jokic? Jokic is going to go ham in the paint, ham on the boards, and whatever matchup you have going against him, he's going to exploit the crap out of it. And like you mentioned already, he's having an MVP season. He didn't really have the game that he wanted to last night, but I expect him to bounce back tonight, just like an MVP would, and carry his team to a win. You mentioned the Utah Jazz not having any starters, like, and that's true. Like they do have enough role players, in my opinion, that they should be able to get these wins. But it's almost as if like they have been relying on Mitchell and Gobert so much that they just forgot how to play basketball without the two of them, or how to even defend. Like, how do you forget how to defend as one of the best defensive teams after Gobert goes down, right? So
Yeah.
this is a spot that I like for the Nuggets. I expect them to bounce back. I expect Jokic to have a massive game, not having anyone to stop him, and the Utah Jazz to go further down in the standings.
All
Everyone's
right.
happy.
We agree there. And then the final game of the night, we got the Blazers and the Lakers. I feel like the Lakers haven't played in a while.
Yeah, it's been a while. Who do you think I'm gonna go with?
Probably the Blazers.
It's not the sexiest of picks, but
Yeah.
the Blazers, I like their chances here. LeBron's not going to be playing. Dame will not be playing. So it comes down to the team performance. And I just like the Blazers and how they play compared to the Lakers. They haven't been winning too much recently. They've lost 4 of their last 5, but I'm going to chalk that up to matchups and guys being in and out. And just against this Lakers team that is going to have either AD or Westbrook trying to have a night. I don't like their odds. I don't think that's a team that really plays together once they're asked to. We've talked about this multiple times where it's pretty much just okay, AD take the ball. All right, Malik Monk take the ball. Okay, Russell Westbrook take the ball. And it doesn't. And I mean, it works out against certain teams, but when you have a team that can move the ball and get you the better shots with McConnell on the floor, Nurkic, Norm, Simons. That is so important and so massive. So I just like the Portland Blazers odds here. If they don't win, they can even cover a little bit.
Yeah.
And yeah, give me the Blazers. What about you?
Yeah, the Lakers just don't seem they're not a good team to start with, but then when LeBron doesn't play, it's even worse. So I gotta go with the Blazers. But then again, the Blazers,
I
we
know.
were raving on and on about them. But yeah, like you said, they've fallen back a bit and they are coming off a pretty embarrassing loss against the OKC Thunder, who you have covering a big spread tonight. But I do expect the Blazers to do enough to win this game. I don't like the Lakers ball movement out there when LeBron's not out there. I feel like Russ is going to try to play a lot of hero ball. He's probably going to put up a ton of points, but yeah, that combination with he and AD, I don't think it's going to be enough against a Blazers team that they continuously have this next man up mentality. You got guys stepping up, and these two teams are not far off from each other. That's how bad the Lakers have been. So this is a game where Portland can go into LA and steal one. So I got to agree with you, Noor. I really like what the Blazers are doing overall in the month of January going into this month of February. They have played much better and they know how to win without their star player. I don't know if the same can be said about the Lakers without LeBron. So I got to agree with you here.
Well, that's it for today. How many games is that we disagreed on? Quite a bit. I think we had a record today.
I think
For
two or three, a good two or three. Yeah, the Boston game and Dallas, and that's it.
really that
Oh,
was
and
it.
Indiana,
Oh,
so
Indiana,
three.
yeah,
Yeah,
Indiana. So we
three.
have
A
a total.
record three. Yeah.
So we'll see tomorrow. Either I'll be coming here laughing or crying, or Luca will be doing the same thing. But thanks so much for joining us. That's another episode for 3 Point Lines. I'm Noor Zainab, joined by my co-host Luca Rosano, and we will see you tomorrow.